Hey, fifth graders, it's Mrs. Tremblay again. I know, over and over again. We're gonna do some more guided examples on yesterday's topic. So you need your Unit 3 notes packet, the second one that I gave you. And on the front page, that's what we did yesterday. We had the area model and just a couple little examples. I want you to turn to, it's the back side of the front page, so page 2. In your notes packet, in that new notes packet. I know you already have one that's completed for the first 4 lessons, so this is the second part of lesson 5. We're gonna do these examples together, just to make sure you've got enough examples so you know what's up. Okay, so here we go. 5/6 times 1 1/3. We learned yesterday, I need to change this into an improper fraction. So I'm gonna keep my 5/6 the way it is, and 1 1/3, 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4/3. All right, now in looking at this, yes, you could write 20/18 and simplify it. You could also look at this 4 and 6 and know, hey, 2 divides into both of those. 2 is the largest number that divides into 4 and 6. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So now when I multiply, I'm gonna do 5 times 2 is 10, and 3 times 3 is 9. And 9 goes into 10 one time with 1 left over out of 9. So you get 1 1/9. So instead of having to try to figure out what 20/18 would be, and you'd have 1 2/18 and then have to simplify it down to 1 1/9, we have lower digits to start with. All right, next one. And it would be okay for you to pause and try to work through these and then press play afterwards. That would be fine, but I would really suggest making sure that you do press play and check to make sure your answers match mine. Okay, so I need this to be an improper fraction. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 10, 11. So 11/3 times, and this 7, I want it to be a fraction, so I'm gonna write it over 1. Now 11 and 1, nothing I can do. 3 and 7, nothing I can do. So this time I have to multiply across. 11 times 7 is 77. And here I have 3. Okay, so now I have to figure out how many times does 3 go into 77? I know, it's a lot, isn't it? So there's a couple different ways to do that. I don't know that you've learned, I know it was one of your last units from before, the traditional way to do it. So let's try doing some multiplication to help us out, okay? First off, like I know, you know your 3 times 10, right? 3 times 10 is 30, and I know I can fit another 3 times 10 is 30. So right now I have 60, right? 30 plus 30 is 60, and I've used 23s. So now if I'm at 60, I want to try to get to 77, right? So that means I have 17 more to work with because 60 plus 17 is 77. So 3 times 6 is 18. Let's do 3 times 5 is 15. So when I have 30, 30, and 15, if I add all those up, I'm now at 0, 0, 5, 3, 6, 7, 75, which is really close. So I've just used 10, 25 threes, and then they're from 75 to 77 are 2 left over out of 3. So 25 and 2/3 is what you should have. Okay. For letter E, we have to change both of these. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7/4. And then for 2 and 1/4, 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9/4. Now I know these digits match, but they're not diagonal from each other. So 7 and 4, nothing I can do. 9 and 4, nothing I can do. So 7 times 9 is 63, and 4 times 4 is 16. All right, so now I have to figure out how many 16s will go into 63. So another strategy that we can use, like for this, we know our 3s, right? We can multiply 3 by things, but with this we might not know our 16s. So let's use repeated addition to see how close we can get to 63. That's another strategy. You have a chapter later on that will show you how to use long division to do this. So we'll get there eventually. But repeated addition works. So 16 plus another 16, 6 plus 6 is 12, and 1, 2, 3, 32. I'm still not at 63, right? So we've used 2 16 so far. Let's add another 16. 2 plus 6 is 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. We're still not to 63. Let's try adding another 16. 6 plus 8, that is 14. And then 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's a little too big, isn't it? So that means we can do 1, 2, 3 16s. And when you have 3 16s, that's 48, right? So now I have to figure out, okay, how far from 48 to 63? And we were 1 off here, so that's a little hint to you. You can count up by 48 to 63. So 48, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63. Oh, that's 15, which is 1 less than, anyways. 3 and 15 16ths. That should be your final answer. All right, for letter F, I have 4.5 times 4 fifths. I'm going to change this. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9 halves times 4 fifths. So let's see, 9 and 5, no, I can't do anything, but 2 and 4 I sure can. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 4 twice. So 9 times 2 is 18, and 1 times 5 is 5. So now instead of trying to simplify 36 tenths, I can simplify 18 fifths. 5, 10, 15, so that's 3 times, and then there's 3 left out of 5. So 3 and 3 fifths is what you should have. All right, letter G, 7/8 times 1 and 2 fifths. I'm gonna leave my 7/8 alone. And for 1 and 2 fifths, I need to change this to improper. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7 fifths. Now 8 and 7, I can't do anything. 7 and 5, I can't do anything. So let's multiply across. 7 times 7 is 49, and 8 times 5 is 40. This is improper. 40 goes into 49 one time, and then there's 9 left over out of 40. No long division really required for that one. That's nice. All right, letter H, and I have 5 times 1 and 7 tenths. And these are problems from your workbook, in case you're wondering. They just don't give you enough space in there. So this 5, I'm going to write 5 over 1. And for 1 and 7 tenths, 10 times 1 is 10, plus 7 is 17 tenths. Okay, now you might be thinking, I don't want to do 5 times 17. I'm tired. Yeah, me too. So let's cross simplify. 5 goes into 5 and 10. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 10 twice. So now I have to take 1 times 17, which is 17, and 1 times 2, which is 2. A little bit nicer to simplify. All right, so 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 7 is 14, 2 times 8 is 16, 2 times 9 is 18. Oh, that's too much. So it has to be 8. So I wanted to figure out how many times 2 goes into 17. So 2 times 8 is 16. There's a 1 left over out of 2. My denominator never changes, so you should have 8.5. Okay, couple little word problems, and we're almost there. Sarah built a pen for her pet rabbits, and it's like, a little kind of caged in area, not like a pen. The pen measures 2 5/6 yards by 1.5 yards. What is the area of the pen? So this pen is going to be a rectangle, right? And when you find the area of a rectangle, and I know it's a rectangle because I tell you it's 2 5/6 by 1.5. To find the area of a rectangle, you multiply the length by the width. So all you have to do to solve this one is take 2 5/6 times 1.5. Let's go ahead and change those into improper fractions. 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 plus 5 is 17 sixths. And then 1.5, 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3 halves. Okay, so 17 and 2 I can't do anything, but 3 and 6 I can. 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 6 twice. So now instead of taking 17 times 3, I can just take 17 times 1, which is 17. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now I just have a nice little improper fraction to simplify. I know that 4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 plus 1 is 17. So 4 and 1/4, and this is going to be yards squared, or square yards, because area is measured in square units, because we just took yards times yards, which is yards squared. Okay, next. At Southwestern High School, the number of students in band is 1 3/4 times the number of students in orchestra. If 56 students are in orchestra, how many are in band? Well, it just said the number of students in band is 1 3/4 times the number in orchestra. In orchestra is 56. So that means 1 3/4 times 56. All right, we've got a little bit of work to do to clean this up so we can solve it. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7/4. And then this 56, I want to write it as a fraction, so I'm going to put a 1 underneath it. Okay, so I have a 7 and a 56. 7 and a 1 and a 4 and a 56. I am guessing that you would say, well, they're both even, and you could divide them both by 2, which would be a fine first step, but 4 actually does go into both of those. Okay, 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 will go into 56, and you can try to take this one little digit at a time. I'm going to show you this eventually. Okay, so 4 goes into 5 one time, and then there's 1 left over that I would bring to this 6, which would make it 16. And 4 times 4 is 16. So 4 divides into 56 14 times. Okay, that means to get my answer here, I need to do 7 times 14, which, yeah, that's okay. We can do that. So we're going to take the 14 times the 7. And there's multiple ways to do this. I'll just show you the standard. 7 times 4 is 28. And 7 times 1 is 7, 8, 9. So 98 students. All right, last one. A bucket holds 2 3/4 gallons of water. The bucket is 5/8 full. How much water is in the bucket? So the bucket holds 2 3/4. The bucket is 5/8 of the way full. So I need to do 5/8 of 2 3/4. That keyword of is multiplication. 5/8 of 2 3/4. That would be 5/8 times 2 3/4. And if you did write 2 3/4 times 5/8, that would totally be fine. Community property. So this 5/8 stays the same. 2 3/4, 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10, 11, times 11/4. So with 5 and 4, I can't do anything. With 8 and 11, I can't either. So 5 times 5 is 55, and 8 times 4 is 32. Okay, so I know that 32 plus 32 is 64, so I can't fit 2 32s in there, just one. And then to figure out, I know my denominator is 32. To figure out my numerator, I have to figure out, okay, 32 plus what is 55? Or I could take 55 minus 32. And because I see like, oh, I can do 5 minus 2, that's 3. And 5 minus 3 is 2. It just works out. So 1 and 23 30-seconds gallons. That's our unit. All right, thanks for working so hard.